Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're digging into something pretty amazing, the world of plants. I know, they might seem kind of passive just sitting there, but really, they are absolute masters of survival. It's like they have this secret code that lets them thrive in the craziest places on Earth. So, let's try and crack that code, shall we?
So really, how do they pull it off? I mean, have you ever really thought about it? How does a cactus just exist in a scorching hot desert with basically zero rain? Or what about that lonely pine tree you see somehow clinging to a windy, frozen cliffside? It seems impossible, right? Well, the answer comes down to one really powerful and actually pretty elegant idea.
And that idea is adaptation. Honestly, you can think of it as the master key to all survival in the plant kingdom. An adaptation is just any special feature, could be part of its body, its internal chemistry, or even how it behaves, that gives it a real edge in its own specific home.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, let's imagine we're opening up a plant's survival toolkit. It's got three main compartments. First up, you've got the structural tools. That's the plant's physical build. Then there's the physiological systems, all the hidden chemistry going on inside. And finally, the growth responses, which is all about how it actively moves and reacts to the world around it.
All right, let's start with that first tray in our toolkit, the structural one. This is all about the physical stuff, you know? The plant's architecture, its engineering, all the parts you can actually see and touch that are built for one purpose, survival.
Okay, put yourself in a plant's roots for a second. Imagine you're in the middle of a desert. What's your number one problem? Well, it's the environment itself, right? You've got this extreme, crushing heat and almost no water to speak of. So how on earth do you solve that?
Well, if you're a cactus, you come up with a truly brilliant piece of natural engineering. Forget about having big, wide leaves that just lose water all day. Instead, you develop these thick, waxy, fleshy stems. They're basically built-in water tanks, designed to store every single precious drop for those long, dry spells.
Okay, let's do a complete 180. We're leaving the desert and now we're on a cold, windy mountain. The problem here is totally different. You're facing bitter cold and these freezing, dry winds that are just trying to suck all the moisture right out of you.
And the pine tree's tool for this job? Just as clever. Its leaves are these tiny, thin needles. That design dramatically reduces the surface area that's getting blasted by the wind. And on top of that, the needles have this waxy coating, which is basically like a tiny waterproof jacket, locking all that precious moisture inside.
All right, here's a totally different puzzle for you. Imagine you're a water lily. You're not worried about being dry. I mean, you live in water. No, your problem is getting enough sun when you're floating on a crowded pond with tons of other plants.
And the water lily's solution is so simple and so elegant. It develops these huge, broad, flat leaves that just float right on the surface. They're basically giant living solar panels. Their whole job is to soak up as much sunlight as they possibly can before any of their neighbors get a chance.
Okay, so we've covered the physical stuff. Let's move on to our second toolkit now. We're going from the structures we can see to the invisible processes happening inside. This is the physiological toolkit. We're talking about the plant's hidden chemistry.
Okay, this is where things get really cool. So plants have to breathe, right? They take in carbon dioxide through these tiny little pores called stomata. But here's the catch. When those pores are open, water escapes. For a desert plant, opening them up during a blazing hot day would be, well, suicide. So what's their solution? They completely flip their internal schedule. They only open their stomata during the cool of the night. They grab all the CO2 they need then, store it, and then use it to make food during the day. It's an absolutely genius water-saving hack.
Okay, another huge chemical problem. You know how most plants would just shrivel up and die if you watered them with salt water? So, how do plants like mangroves not only survive, but actually thrive in salty coastal water?
Well, they've got this incredible two-part system. It's amazing. First, their roots can act like a high-tech filter, blocking a lot of the salt from even getting into the plant in the first place. But what about the salt that does sneak through? Well, that's where part two comes in. They can pump that excess salt into specific leaves, which then eventually fall off. It's like they're literally taking out the trash.
And that brings us to our final toolkit, the growth toolkit. Now, this is where we really bust the myth that plants are just static, boring things, because they're not. They are actively responding to their environment, changing how they grow to get an advantage. Yeah, that's right. Plants can move.
Just take a look at this. On the left, we've got something called phototropism. See the photo in there? It means light.
This is a plant shoot literally bending and growing towards a light source to get as much energy as possible. And then on the right, you've got gravitropism. The plant can actually sense gravity. Its roots always grow down, searching for water and stability, while the shoots always grow up, reaching for the sun.
And get this, they can even feel. It's a thing called thigmotropism, which is basically a response to touch. Think about a climbing plant, like a vine. When one of its tendrils touches something solid, like a fence or another tree, it triggers this growth response that makes it coil and wrap right around it. That's how it supports itself as it climbs its way up towards the sunlight. So cool.
Okay, so we've seen all these incredible tools in the plant's survival kit, but here's the real key takeaway. The most important part of all of this. A plant has to have the right tools for its specific home. It's the reason why you can't just take a cactus from the desert, plop it in a swampy rainforest, and expect it to be happy.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. These adaptations are absolutely not one-size-fits-all. Each and every solution is perfectly tailor-made for a very specific set of problems. You could say a plant survival toolkit is highly specialized for the job of living in its own particular neighborhood.
And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Just look at the difference between the desert cactus and the water lily. The cactus has leaves that are basically just spines, all to stop water loss. The water lily, it has these huge, broad leaves to catch the sun. The cactus stem is a thick water tank, while the water lily's is flexible and lives underwater. Their main goals, one wants to conserve water, the other wants to capture sunlight. They're completely opposite. And so their adaptations are completely opposite too.
So next time you're outside and you see a tree that's kind of growing sideways to get around a building, or you spot a tiny little weed that's managed to push its way through a crack in the pavement, just stop for a second and take a closer look. Ask yourself, what problems is that plant solving right now? What tools is it using from its survival kit? What amazing survival stories are the plants all around you trying to tell?